Hello once again, and today I'm going to be talking about emulation and retro hardware, original retro hardware, me basically talking about old 80s and 90s computers, maybe a few consoles. Consoles wasn't big for me, I wasn't much of a console person. I did own a PlayStation 2, Nintendo Wii and a PlayStation 3, but I didn't really buy that many games for it. I think the most I bought for my PlayStation 3 was probably about 5 until I sold it. I got so bored with my PlayStation 3 I ended up selling it. It was the same with the PlayStation 2. I didn't buy that. That was more when I was living with my wife at the time. She was one that wanted the PlayStation 2, not me. I wasn't that bothered about it. When we were living together over here, we didn't have a DVD player. So I was thinking about getting a DVD player, and I think she was the one that mentioned, how about getting a PlayStation 2? I thought, yeah, hang on. They can play games on it, and it's got a DVD player. That would be convenient. And that's the reason why we bought a PlayStation 2. The games were good for its day, but I just got bored with it. But we ended up selling it because we emigrated to America, and I'm not going to talk about that. We also bought acquired one. When I was in the States, I acquired a PlayStation 2 again, played on it for a while, played some of the I think it was Gran Turismo 4 at the time, because I was a big fan of the Gran Turismo games. That's why I like the PlayStation. But eventually I just got bored with them. So I sold the PlayStation 2 and we got a Nintendo Wii for the first time. That was a good console. That was a very good console. Had a few games for it over there, but then I came back to England. I ended up buying a Nintendo Wii for myself, but then I got really bored with it. I didn't even buy any games for it. It came with the Wii Sports, so it was a black one. I bought the black one. In America I had the white one, but I sold it because I got bored with it. Now I bought a PlayStation 3 as well, so I bought 5 games for it, sold it. Just got bored with consoles. They didn't do nothing for me. But now I'm going off at a tangent already. Well, not really, but the reason why I want to talk about this subject about emulation and original hardware, because people moan, saying you're not a true retro fan or blah 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 shit like that because I play on emulation. If you're a retro fan, you should have the original hardware. Well, okay, right. You got to take into consideration when you say things like that. As you can see there, I have an Amstrad CPC 464 and a Commodore 64. Those machines were given to me. I didn't pay for them. All I bought for these two machines was a power adapter with cables to run through a television set on the Amstrad CPC 464. I still got the monitor, but if I want to just test the game, it's just more convenient just to... Well, it ain't, because it's easy to plug the monitor in, but I've got 2 options there. So with the Amstrad, I've got the monitor and the TV things, and it does work pretty good with the TV. And also for a Commodore 64, I bought a wire, so it plugs through the red yellow, the what's it called? I forget what it's called. The lead with the red and white and the yellow. I can't remember what it's called now. It's not component. It'll come to me. Feel free to put it in the description box. So I've just totally forgot what it's called. It's the red, white and yellow. Yellow for the signal, red and white for the left and right stereo channels, which the SID chips mono anyway. So I don't know why they did that, but I'm not having a go. So that's the only things I bought for it, is those leads. Not bought no games. The Commodore 64 came with a load of games. I'm not a retro collector, and I'm going to go into why I'm not a retro collector. One, the cost. To buy these machines now are a lot of money, and you know, I've had these machines in the past. I don't want to buy them again. And you know, and not only that, the cost. These machines are quite old, unless it's been refurbished or, you know, overhauled. Then that's going to put the price up and all, because you know people spent time on replacement parts. So retro computers or consoles are going through the roof now. Considering that Amstrad CPC 464 is 34 years old now, Commodore 64 not as old. That was a late 80s, early 90s model. That was the last of the Commodore 64C models, and yeah, that's even over 20 years old. So they're quite old. So things could start to mess up with them soon if you don't look after them. Yeah, they hardly get used, and you know, eventually, like with everything, everything's going to start to go wrong, and then you've got to repair them. I don't have no knowledge of electronics. I can build PCs, that's it, because it's just module parts. You just take a part out, put a part in, very easy. But when to fix something like that, you need to be an electrical engineer or know something about electronics to know what you're doing, because the chips are soldered in. You know, it's on a motherboard, you know, and it's not like a PC. You can just, as I said, modular parts, pull a RAM out here and there, replace it. You can't do that with them. So you've got to need to know what you're doing, a little bit of electronic engineering, and you still got to pay for the parts. You know, if you want to, maybe, I don't know, a SID chip, your SID chip's gone, or a RAM chip or something like that, AY chip, whatever. You still got to pay for them parts and pay for postage, so you can still have to spend money. So, and to me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So this is why emulation for me comes into it. You know, it's there. You can record. It's easy to record. And if you want to record with one of an old computer, there's two ways. One way is to get a camera and point it to the screen. Quality doesn't look great, but if you're putting it to an LCD or an LED TV these days, the picture's usually pretty good. If you're just putting it at a CRT TV, forget it. You just get those camera flickers. It looks crap. Now I've lost the thread what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that's, I don't like using, yeah, that's something else. If you want to use the computer via going through your computer to get a really good recording, like Chinny Vision does, big fan of his channel, really good channel. He only uses original hardware to do his recording, but he does it good. I've got to admit, he does. I'm a big fan of his, as I said, I'm a big fan of his channel. I like the way he shows different systems and their games. Really does a good job of what he does. Really enjoy his channel, his videos and all that. But as I said, he uses all original hardware, so he's got the capture cards. So he must have spent a fortune doing that. And that's something I don't have, is hardware capture. I did have, but it's a load of crap, and it don't even work with Windows 10 now. So I'm not going to go out and spend loads of money on a decent capture device, where emulation does it all for you. All you need is a capture software, and emulation will take care of everything. You can save your states. There's so much more you can do with an emulation. But people out there, so I don't like people using emulation. Get over it, I say. You know, when you look at a screen, you know, either via capture hardware, you're just looking at the screen. You're not looking at nothing else. Just the game itself or the program within that screen. You can't. And it's the same with the emulation. How can you tell the difference? How can you tell the difference if someone's recording via capture hardware or capture software? How can you tell the difference? You can't. So when people say, oh, you should be recording with original hardware, why? There's no, you know, the only reason because people prefer to, you know, If people prefer to use original hardware, so be it. Good on them. Yes, it is good to record or play games with original hardware. I'm not disputing that. But when people say you shouldn't be using emulations, why are you using emulations? You should use original hardware. Because I've given you a good fact. Retro hardware is expensive. You know, I can't afford to buy all these computers, all these old computers, and I said there's maintenance costs if it goes wrong. And another factor I'm going to talk to you about why I don't collect original hardware, because I don't have the space for it. Yeah, I apologise for that. I stopped the video for a second. Yeah, as I said, I don't have the room to collect retro hardware. You know, they're just sitting on a shelf, you know, out the way. Luckily I had a little bit of space there, but it's not an ideal place because the TV is there and they're there. They are connected up, but they're not in an ideal place. So I don't have the room to collect hardware, let alone having somewhere to put all the games. The games that came with my Commodore 64 are all in a box up there. You know, I ain't got no more room to put anything else up there. I have no room for original hardware. So there's two reasons why I use it that I don't collect. Back in the day, yeah, I had a big collection for my Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64 and Amiga. I had loads and loads of games. But, you know, because I've got rid of them all now. There's no way I'll excuse me. There's no way that I want to start collecting all over again. As I said, I ain't got the money, I ain't got the space, and I certainly haven't got the interest to go for collecting all over again. So there you go. This is why I use emulation to record my games. I was never a die-hard gamer. Never been a die-hard gamer. I was more of a casual gamer. And, you know, because I didn't play on, you know, I didn't have all the majority of the consoles, and the games that I brought were games that I liked. Obviously, I did buy some cheap games you could take risks on back in the day, like the $2.99 games. I bought a load of them actually. But you know, you just bought it out of chance. All you got was a screenshot on it, and you just bought it out of chance. But you know, I might have played these games a couple of times, or I might have, if they were good, I've played them a lot of times. You know, so I mean, I was a casual gamer. I was never a die-hard gamer. And you know, when I got my PC, the amount of games I bought just declined. It just really declined. I think I just lost a little bit of interest in gaming. You know, because the PC, you know, I was doing a lot more different stuff. You know, I was making music, creating all different things, doing all sorts of different things. So I didn't really do much gaming. Here and there I did a bit of gaming, but then I got married, you know, then everything went to shit, and yeah, I did a little bit of gaming here and there. So, and nowadays, since I started the channel, a few years ago, the gaming started coming back. You know, I started, but it's more the retro gaming. I do play some modern gaming here and there, but they just bore me. Modern, you know, the Call of Duty and all that sort of stuff just bores the fuck out of me playing them. You know, I've always been a racing, you know, I've always loved the racing games, always have, since I played that first arcade game back in the early 80s, and that was Pole Position. That to me got me into racing games, playing arcade, going to the arcades, absolutely good times. You know, I've even got the MAME emulator, and it's good to play them games that I used to play back in the day. You know, especially Outrun. That is my favourite game. Arcade game would always be Outrun. Even though it's 31 years old. No, it's 32 years old now, isn't it? Come out in 1986. You know, I had a lot of fond memories playing Outrun. Pole Position, brilliant times. Arcades, you can't beat that experience when you're down the coast or at a fun fair or whatever. Great times. And it's good to have an emulator to do that all over again, because there's no fucking way I'm going to collect arcade machines if I ain't got no room for retro computers. What fucking chance have I got of collecting arcade machines? Even then, they're going to be a lot of money for what they are, and to restore them, you know, they're going to take some maintenance. But you know, to see something like that again would be nice. It would be nice to see an old arcade cabinet again. I know you do at these Play Expos, but I've never been to one of these Play Expos. Maybe one day I might, but I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be emulation all the way with me, because of convenience, because of price, because of the ease of it. It's easy to set up emulation. Alright, some can be a little bit tricky. Like at first, the Amiga emulation was a bit of a sod to set up, because you got to get all the ROMs for it to work. Same with the recent one I did was the Atari XL. You need all the ROMs and all that. Once you set it up, it's fine. You know, once it's set, it's just like a normal emulator. But it's just the convenience and the ease of using emulators. Okay, you got to do a little bit of key mapping maybe, but once you've done that, you just plug your joystick in, your USB joystick, you're good to go. Works like a normal Amstrad CPC or whatever emulator. It just works, and you can adjust the screen size. You can just do all sorts of things that you can't do on original hardware. You know, bonus things. You're still playing the same game. You know, it plays exactly the same. So really, there isn't not a lot of difference. Yes, don't get me wrong, it is better to play on original hardware. I'm not disputing that, but emulation's the next best thing. It is. Especially the costs, the space, emulation, and you can download all the image ROMs you ever want, all those games you never played, and it's amazing. That's why I reviewed so many games. It's just convenient to just go online, download whatever you want, and it's there. But sometimes I do use the Amstrad and Commodore 64, because I can convert them onto a cassette. I've got the facilities to do that, and you know, it's not hard. If you've got a stereo system and a PC, all you need is a wire, a normal wire, you know, left and right wire. Well, it depends on your sound card. I can do that, or you can get it converted. It doesn't matter. You can still connect it to your stereo system, and you can record that loading tone straight onto cassette. No problem at all. You know, I'm still a fan of the old stereo system, and okay, it's it's modern, but it's separate, so I don't like these all-in-one crappy things. It's the way I am. But even like with music nowadays, you don't even need compact discs, you don't need tapes, you don't need nothing. It's all on MP3, and that's something I do use, is MP3. I don't mess about no more. All my music's there and what I want, but sometimes if I want to listen to it on the speakers, it just runs through the stereo system. I can still listen to it via the speakers, which is great. But now I'm going off at a tangent, and I really think I've cleared what I wanted to say. You know, all the people that bitch about, oh, you use emulation. Yes, I do use emulation. If you've got a problem with it, then tough fucking shit. Sorry about that, but that's the way I am. The way I think. Nothing wrong with emulation, and I've covered the two good reasons why I use emulations: because of space and cost, and probably other reasons, but I just can't think of it. But no. What do you think? Do you use emulation? Do you use original hardware? If you've got the original hardware, do you record? How do you record? Do you use expensive capture devices, or do you just point? I know some people do point their cameras at the TV. It's to say, it's a cheaper alternative than buying expensive capture cards, and it's easier than doing that. You know, that is just as easy to do than setting up your emulator. You know, it's a very easy thing to do, but you know, I can appreciate where people are coming from if they want to use the original hardware. Yeah, of course, but don't fucking have a go at people because they use emulation. You have no fucking right to do that. And I'm going to continue using emulation if people like it or not. Fucking hell, why do people make such a big fuss about emulation? There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's a credit to the programmers who came up and designed them. You know, good on them people. A round of applause to the people that create emulators. Anyway, tell me what you think. Anyway, I'm going to end this now. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, and goodbye.